Morning, Zoms. What's going on? It's nearly 6 o'clock in the morning. Give it about a few more seconds. Still 31st of August, 2023. Weavertown City, Roseman, California. I'm seeing images of what the hell happened with the Adelia kicking ass on both Florida and South Carolina and other places. And the deaths and destruction it's causing. I think it's been over 70 plus and it's kicking up left and right. Seeing this 125 miles per hour. I mean, damn thing came in as a cat 3 to nearly a cat 4, and then people haven't had in Florida Panhandle in certain areas, even in the crux of it, hadn't had this bad damage. It's been about 127 years, according to their records, since a hurricane actually visited their territory and knocked the wind out of them. Well, a direct hit anyway. And it's a hell of a direct hit because it's flooding all over the damn place. And this is what happens when you're dealing with hurricanes. Flooding just stays there for weeks. I remember Hurricane Andrew when it hit. He didn't recover it until years later. New Orleans couldn't even recover it that that fast. Half the city sank apparently. And I'm watching Georgia as the tropical storm is still continuing to kick their ass, and it's moving towards the eastern coastline and then getting the hell out of there. So yeah, it's flooding out everybody else on the East Coast real damn bad. Northern Carolina's getting it. With the wind and the rain and kicking up in the coastal areas, it's just nasty. It's just nasty. So basically, it's turning out to be, well, for some people, for the political side, it's going to be very interesting because they're saying a whole calendar year of trials and tribulations happening these days. And meanwhile, what we're seeing these days is more and more disasters happening. A couple of more storms out in the East Coast that may or may not hit the coastline of the United States or even go into the warm waters of the Caribbean. Just as Adelia has turned out to be a tropical storm heading out to sea after doing its damage and probably go over to the European coast and give them hell as a tropical storm. Meanwhile, I'm still scouring a few things here and there that the zeros and ones are still throwing out. I hadn't been really checking to see if anybody else is going to be throwing a conniption fit. They're still talking about McConnell and his lightheadedness. There's questioning about age in the Congress, especially in the Senate when you have a few senators out there on both sides of the aisle who are showing conditions of the body and the mind deteriorating, and they just don't want to face it. I think they're scared of aging. I would. I think they're scared of being useless. Well, they're getting that way. They still want to serve, but they also still want to get more money. More money, 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 money. McConnell, was it within a year? He already had been benched because he had a concussion, a slip and fall, knocked against his head because he is that frail. I'm going to say it, old and frail. That it's affecting him a great deal, and it's scaring the crap out of us. 78, almost 80-year old, maybe older than that. It's scaring him, and not to mention Feinstein, about they should just be grandparents and just get out of politics. I know they want to serve, but if they're mentally not there for it, they can't do their job for the constituents. I'm sorry to say. McConnell's freezing up again, which should have told the doctors that he's got something happening in his brain. He needs to get a CAT scan or at least an MRI to see what the hell's going on, at least with contrast. But am I a doctor? No, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. No way am I in the medical establishment at this point over here. But what I'm seeing from an old gentleman, and I'll have to say an old gentleman here, he may have been politically a pain in the ass. And yeah, mentally he was an old fashioned pain in the ass. But I still have to give it to him anyway. I still have to show him respect, and not to mention the older farts that came before him or in his age group. Because they had age and wisdom and they have life experiences that the youth are like, huh? That happens when you have a generational gap there. This hidden written thing in the universe that the older we get and we have more accumulated value and wisdom, we're trying to impart it to the youth and they just don't want to know about it. They got to go through the same damn shit and we got to continue to cycle over and over and over again. So regarding to Senator McConnell in this condition, if I was going to be sending a message to the old gentleman there, I know a lot of people are going to be expressing some other uglier expressions to the gentleman. I'm going to say, get your ass to a gerontologist, talk with a neurologist, and get your head worked on. Get it examined. See if there's anything medically speaking, if you're going to be falling apart on people left and right. You're no damn good on the Senate floor or anywhere else if you're going to be just freezing up. And unfortunately, you're doing that. You're scaring the hell out of your constituents. They may love you, but right now they're not going to be able to use you if you can't be useful in Congress. And the same thing goes to my own California senator, Senator Dianne Feinstein. Boxer had an idea a long time ago in getting the hell out of Dodge for other reasons, but maybe she felt like she was unable to get through. So, but Feinstein, unfortunately, she's still trying to show that her spirit's there, but the flesh is deteriorating, and so's everything else going on. So, I mean, her spirit may be screaming out, but her brain's frying out. She's got to retire. And unfortunately, in California, they're going to have a special election. First off, we have to assign. Governor Newsom's got to assign a new senator. He's got to get her replaced. She's got to want to walk out. But if she's that stubborn about it, the voters will vote her ass out. It's that simple. When her term limit comes up, she's out of office. Period. End of story. They're not going to be able to deal with a senator who just can't cut it in the Senate. It's going to be pissing her off about it, but I hate to say it, her body and her brain are failing her. Her spirit may be strong, and that's one thing. But unfortunately, we're living in the mortal coil world here. And things do fail, and we have to step aside, and we don't like to. We see what's happening, but sometimes we just can't do it. We have to be witnesses now. We have to be witnesses to what's going on. And unfortunately, that's how it is. It sucks. Even the orange gas bag that we had for a former president. But he's still continuing on because he's Donald Trump. I walk on water. I had to tell the orange gas bag, but one of these here days, he's going to wake up and he ain't there no more. That's a fact of life we all face, even if we are young and healthy to the old and decrepit. One of these here days, we're going to wake up and we're not here anymore. So we have to be scared shitless of living life right now. We have to live life because the next day we're not going to be here. Hell of a thing to wake up to and talk about in the morning, isn't it?